Yo, what's good, guys? It is JD here. Hello and welcome to the first podcast conversation type thing, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. It is a lot of fun. It is a good conversation. We're out here for about an hour today. It's the first episode, and we are breaking down the 2K23 gameplay blog. Now, if you don't know about Jazz, check him out. Description down below, comment section down below. His channel will be there. I've done some podcasts on his channel before that you might have seen as well. We get along really well. It's a great listen, I think, anyway. But I would say that. But you guys can let me know. It's the first time that I've kind of like hosted a podcast style video. So any feedback, legitimately, please do let me know. Because I don't know if I talk too much, don't talk enough, don't ask enough questions, ask too many questions. Let me know any and all feedback down below. But today, we break down the gameplay blog because there was a lot of good information about 2K23. We are going to do some more over the next coming weeks. We're going to break down any more blogs that 2K come out with, but then also taking a look back at 2K22 and what was and has been a eventful year, to say the least. We're going to break down some stuff from 2K22, talk about some 2K23 wish lists that we've got for sort of like the main game modes, and then sort of like all the other little events and stuff that we had this year. And just open up the conversation to all you guys. Get you guys involved down in the comment section below. We will obviously take user questions as well. So if you put a question in the comment section, we can answer that in the next podcast as well. So hopefully this is going to be good for the month of August, because we've still got an entire month until 2K23. We all know there's pretty much nothing left here apart from opening up packs. But my MT will only last so long. So we're going to jump into the video today. It was recorded a few days ago, so I'm wearing a different t-shirt. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. It's something completely different. So let me know. If you like it, drop a like. If you don't, you drop a dislike, but I'm not going to see it. But drop a comment and let me know why not. So if you guys enjoy, let's get into it. Right, so here we are for the first podcasty style type thing with Jazz for his first time on the channel. So Jazz, welcome to the channel, my friend.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's weird to be on this side of the table. But...
I was going to say, most of the time it's you taking the lead here.
Yeah.
Have been on your channel a few times. And of course, everybody, check his channel out. Link in the description, in the comments, all that jazz. Done podcasts over there before. He does his WLN series, which is where I was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, which is what has kind of kickstarted us doing this on my channel for the first time, because I think we work really well together. I think we have really great opinions that go back and forth quite nicely. So today, we're going to jump into the 2K23 blog, which dropped yesterday. And we're going to give it a bit of a run through and make sure everything looks okay for the next year that we're all going to spend on the game, regardless of whether it looks good or not, because that's how it's going to go. So
is it a year or is it like 9 months now? Is that what we're expecting?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if the last 2 months there is anything.
Last 2 months, we don't talk about the last 2 months of 2K.
Yeah.
So we've got some points to go through, but yeah, first thing, have you read the entire blog? Do you know the main points, or have you just seen on Twitter?
I've scanned it. I haven't read it. I've reserved it because I kind of want to react to it now. Because you know what Twitter's like. It's like a million and one opinions.
Oh yes.
So you start reading this stuff, you start adopting some of these opinions. So I just want to see what I think.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. All right. So the first thing they've got is a new dunk meter, another one, but it gives you more control over what style of dunk you get. So two hand, strong hand, weak hand, rim hang, flashy, etc., etc. So if you see someone on the right hand side of the rim, you can go ahead and do a left handed dunk to get away from them. So as a concept, I think that's good. You know, I think that gives the player more control. I don't really see a problem with that. I quite like that. If you want to do flashy, go for it. Because the amount of times this year I've gone for a two-handed dunk, which is meant to be safe, and he's gone and done a 360 no scope. You know, it's ridiculous. And then he gets swatted, and then, you know, you cry about it for half an hour. I think we've all been there this year. So
the question for me is, like, does it solve the block issue? Does it really solve that issue? Because I like it. I mean, you basically push the stick in a different direction, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
It triggers a different hand or whatever, which is great, hypothetically. But we've had, you know, mechanics in the game for years where you could dunk with different hands or go on the other side of the rim. Will it just stop every dunk that's not a safe two-handed dunk getting blocked? That's what I want to know. Like,
well, there is a section, not spoiler alert, but there is a section later about blocks. So
yeah, I saw that.
You're going to be excited when that one comes around. So that's kind of like the easy bit about it. But then we get on to a bit that I guess is the first new feature of 2K23 in this blog, which is the ability to hang on the rim and do pull-ups on the rim. There's a few different angles.
Are you making this up? Is this legit?
I'm not joking. I haven't brought you on the channel to make a mockery of you, my friend. I promise you, this is in the first 3 paragraphs of this blog. But I'm going to come at it from a few angles. So, it says it controls are simple. Use one of the new rim hang dunk gestures. So you can control when you do this, basically.
Right.
But if you keep the sprint trigger held, the longer you'll hang indefinitely on the rim as long as you keep the trigger held. So that's that. But let's just cover it from a different angle. So I think this is good in one way, because this year you could go to the rim, do a dunk, and they hang on the rim, and you're on a 5-on-4 because they don't get back. This now means you can stop that happening, because you can just never hold down sprint and you'll never hang on the rim. So I like that. But then the fact that, and then you can also, again, not a joke, you can adjust the momentum of your swinging body and do pull-ups on the rim. Thoughts? Lots of words.
What is this thing? I agree with you. Look, the animation, like there's one thing hanging on the rim. You know the TTO animation where they basically do like a pull up and pull their body like through the rim.
Yep.
And then they're just upside down for like 20 seconds. To get rid of that is good. But this is literally just a troll mechanic, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, it's going to be the new flash pause, 100%.
I mean, if I'm up by 30, I'm hanging on the rim for the rest of the game.
It's just never coming down. The game's over and he's still hanging there.
That's so random. That's so random. That's like, it's actually made me cry. That's random. I have very little to say on the matter, apart from the fact that it's probably just going to be a troll mechanic. Do you go back to dunk meter? Do you use it?
No. Well, I play current gen, so no dunk meter out here.
Right.
I do use the right stick though. I don't use square. I do use the right stick. I usually pull back on the right stick to try and get like a flashy dunk, but they always get blocked. So stop doing that.
I would say like 1 in maybe 100 people I play actually use the meter.
Yeah, so even on next gen.
Yeah, no one use it.
Wow.
And most people who do use it are probably like the main people that use it. I think are people that have just picked up the game again. You can usually tell by their squads.
Yeah,
probably played last year. And like, I try to activate Showtime, not realizing it doesn't exist. And that you actually have to time the dunk this time. Like, so yeah, I think most people that use it habitually, like rather than choice as soon as they realize this isn't the move.
That makes sense. I mean, it only says there's 2 dunks here that you can trigger with the meter. All of the other dunks, so you can do flashy dunks without the meter now. I don't know about contact dunks. I don't really mention that, but yeah, when you're hanging on the rim, you use the left stick to adjust the momentum and the right stick to pull yourself up to the rim, and that is legitimately in the 3rd paragraph section of the blog. So
I don't hate it. I don't get it, but
I don't get it, and I also don't understand why they've put so much time into the ability to hang on the rim. Doesn't really, and they even say like, don't do it too long. You're going to get techs. Why have you focused on something that's going to get people technicals? Why would you do this? But the fact that we could just never do it, I like that. I don't like the fact that they've clearly spent so much time on it, but the fact that we can never do it, like you say, we don't get those TTO animations where they're putting themselves through the rim.
Infuriating. It's infuriating.
So that's now gone, which is at least something good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's good.
So then we get loads of waffle, as you would expect. But then we get adrenaline boost. I think this is quite a big feature here. So you get 3 adrenaline boosts per possession. So you get your stamina bar now, and then there's 3 little bars underneath it, and each of those bars just count as like 1. So you can't like drain half of a bar, it's just gonna like run out. And that's for like explosive boosts and bursts. So you can only have to do 3 of those per possession. And I think everybody would say that's probably a positive change. If you can't get open in 3 dribble moves, you're probably spamming a little bit too much, and then you can always pass to someone else anyway.
You're not going to just get people like dribbling the air out the ball. Then they use a boost, they do it again.
Yeah.
They use a boost, do it again. I mean, it's already a dribble heavy game. That suits me. I'm a dribble head now, so that's fine for me. I'm all for it. But yeah, it's basically going to be you can dribble for longer than you would have been able to before, right?
I think the stamina bar is still going to drain quite quickly, but then it depends what they count as a burst. I'm sure there's going to be some type of animation that makes you go at warp speed that just for some reason won't count as like an adrenaline boost / burst. So it's one of those things that I think we'll have to see in game to actually see how effective it's going to be. But I think that is going to be a big difference and a big change this year for how people are going to get open.
It'll be more interesting, I think, at the end of the year, because like if they keep the kind of player build mechanics they have this year, like if you look at endgame Giannis, like the point guard, like you hit one dribble move with him and he's blinking.
Yeah,
it's with all the end games, all the big ones. Like they just as soon as you dribble once, maybe twice, they're just blinking. If it solves that problem, if we've got a couple of boosts we can use to, have another go at getting him open, I'm all for it.
I think that's going to be work something like that. I don't know, yeah, because maybe the boost like over or like supersedes the actual stamina bar, so maybe you could be blinking on stamina, but if you've got the adrenaline boost, maybe that just overtakes it. You know, they didn't really
Yeah,
go into too much detail about it, but that's going to be interesting to
yeah,
see how that works sort of in game.
yeah.
Then we
Have to
have
see.
got a bit about green lights. Have you seen the news about green lights?
No.
So the green, you won't see a green light now until it's actually in the
Oh,
basket.
yeah, until it hits. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Good change,
interesting.
bad change, unnecessary change.
I think it's good. I think it's good because, like, the two things I hate about this game are leak outs and backdoor cuts, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to affect leak outs, right?
True, true.
Because as soon as someone greens, you
You're
know,
hauling ass the other
someone,
way,
yeah,
yeah.
someone's going the other way. So now you have to wait to see what happens because you don't want to give up the rebound if it's there, right? So I think it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's probably more realistic that way. The only negative that I can possibly see happening is again going back to like unskippable animations. So like when you get a green animation now, it's done by the time they're inbounding the ball. But now when you hit a green and they only celebrate when it's in the rim, they've already
Oh
inbounded.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then your
yeah.
guys turn around to the crowd in the corner, and now you're on a 5-4. So again, it just comes down to like these uncontrollable animations, which make me think like, is that going to hurt us? But as I said, for the authenticity of it, it makes sense that you don't know
Yes.
before it's in.
Yeah, that it could be a problem. I
It
mean, they
could be
could
a
maybe they
problem.
could add the meter there as well, so we could decide how long we celebrate on that. And just do it
Yes.
consistently. Do you know what I mean? If you're gonna do it on the rim, do it with everything. I want to
Actually,
celebrate my 3 point for
that's
like
a
three
good
or four
shout,
minutes.
actually.
Let me
Yeah.
do it.
I like that. Just going into like Rosie of the crowd, just going through everybody, high fiving the whole crowd. I think that's a
Yeah,
good shout.
I'm all for it. Bring
I'm
it
kind
on.
of all for that as well. So yeah, that's one thing. And then they've got loads of new shot meters. I mean, like I
I've
think
seen that.
we're all no meters, aren't we? Like, no
Yeah,
meter
at
gang.
this
You
point.
kind of got to be there. Mike Wang has confirmed again that there will be more a boost again for no meter. So
I do feel like I'm playing more people using the meter this year than last year.
really,
Yeah, on next gen especially.
I would have thought next gen especially wouldn't have that many like meter users because I feel like next gen is just way more hardcore. So if you've spent like that amount of dough on a new console, you're going to be a hardcore gamer. And
I
in the
mean,
2K
unlimited for
world,
sure. Like the thing with next gen is like all the hardcore gamers like play unlimited, but with all the other modes, you get like casuals everywhere.
I'm sure like Clutch
They
Time and
just won't,
TTO,
yeah, they just won't touch unlimited. But
so
yeah, you see
smart
it a lot.
people,
Yeah,
very smart,
it's
very
hell, bro.
smart.
It's hell. Have you played unlimited on next gen this year
No,
at all?
no,
One go. It's
no.
hell, bro. It's literally hell on earth.
Oh no, actually, although like for the 250k tournament I did, because
Yeah.
when you get in 250k, you get an entry on current gen and on next gen. And I think the 3 weekends that I didn't get through all 4 hours, I went straight over to next gen to see if I could win a game. I couldn't even score, never mind win. But that was like back in like November, December time. That was like a long time ago. So
It's
yeah, I
it's
didn't go
it's a
back.
really big deal because all of these things we're talking about are going to have different impacts on next gen and current gen. Like
Yeah.
some of it's going to be universal, but the way you play those two different gens are completely different. Like
Oh, so different.
the way I play, like I play unlimited current gen now. The way I play on current gen like is a completely different world. Like next gen, you just have to be a dribble god. You have to be able to get open. There's not many
Well,
ways to score.
that brings us very nicely onto our next point, which is what you mentioned a minute ago: the triangle pass, the backdoor cut, making its way to next gens. It's got to sort of bringing the gens back in line, I suppose,
They
with
do it the wrong way
each
round.
other. So yeah, it's back, allowing you to simply
Oh.
press and hold to get your receiver to cut to the basket and release to throw a pass. Now, I like it a lot on current gen because if somebody's sitting in the corner, you best believe I'm sending the guy in the corner to the rim and they're going to be asleep and I'm going to get a wide open bucket.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I know that the AI are the way the AI are, and trying to deal with somebody who does it all the time can be a pain. So I feel like I only really use it when somebody is offboarding a lot. If they're not offboarding, I feel like I don't really look for it, and the AI kind of does a half decent job at defending them. So I'm all for it, and that might sway me to go to the next gen next year.
That's the best thing about it. That's the best
Yeah,
thing about it. Because I think a lot of people that play current gen are reliant on mechanics like that. And it's one
yeah,
of the reasons that they're not
definitely.
coming over. So that's good. I just hate the mechanic. I think it's the most brain dead thing in this game. Like, okay, if someone's off-balling, it is a way of punishing them. But
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
many ways to punish them without basically countering an exploit with an exploit, I think. Um, I think that at the start of the year, it's at its worst. Because if you don't have, like, if you've got players that don't have clamps, they're getting run over on that backdoor cut.
Yeah, like off-ball pest and whatever the badge is
Yeah.
going to be this year, things
You're
like that.
screwed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll literally have people like, if you've got one underpowered card defensively, people will literally just backdoor cut that card again and again and again at the start of the year because they know it can't keep up. So I think at the start of the year it's worse. But they've also added the 3-point line version of it, right? You can cut to the 3.
Yes, they have. Yeah, so they've got the spot up mechanic as well. Press and hold circle or B, and they'll perform a quick V or flare cut to get open at the perimeter. Now that is going to be interesting because there's so many times you're on a fast break. It's like 3-on-1, and all 3 of your players are like, "I'm going to the paint, bro. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm going straight to the paint where there's a party going on, and the corner is just wide open." So if you're on a fast break, you can just hold, get someone in the corner. That's great. Yeah. I really hope
that is important. Yeah, I agree with that. Like one of the most frustrating things is like, you get inside and the other 4 collapse with you, and it's all 5 of you standing on the hoop for no reason.
Yeah, just high five each other. Like, that's great down here, boys.
Love having a party under the rim. Yeah, I think that's good. I think having the ability to get open. Like if we want to talk about real off-ball defense, people that paint sit with their centers and stuff is like the worst form of off-balling. And knowing you can kick that center out whenever you want. To pop out for a 3 is big, but yeah, I hate the triangle cut. They went the wrong way with it. I think they need to go the other way.
Get rid of it. Eliminate it altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there'd be ways around. I think there is a way around on current gen there, but you got like press a couple of buttons to get there. I think, or maybe that was last year. I think there was a way to do it, but it was like long-winded, so nobody really did it.
What the cut?
Yeah, I think so.
So on next gen, there's like 2 things you can do, right? So there's 2 buttons. You can basically press 2 buttons to do a cut.
Yeah, I thought so.
Too lazy to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why I say it's brain dead. That's the 2K player base, right? Like if it's just 1 button and I can cheese, I'll do it. If I have to press another button, I ain't doing it. That's not for me. The other thing you could do though, which I think they've still kept, right, is the receiver control. So you can control player off the ball. So that's what I do. So that's what I do with that the handoff button. I switch that to receiver control. So that's another way you can, if someone's just brain dead off baller, you can just move the person they're guarding to the 3-point line and shoot.
I don't think I've ever done that receiver control, but I've seen some videos on it and it does look pretty powerful.
But I think I'm getting used to. I was really bad at it for like weeks.
When you get the hang of it though, that's going to be pretty damn powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Well, maybe not next year because you just got to press triangle now.
Press triangle, square, then full receiver control. You've been controlling the whole squad at once.
It's going to be, like I say, it's one of the things that I'm kind of like swaying myself towards next. I feel like this blog has got a lot for sort of current and next to kind of make people make their decisions about the generation thing. So I don't think anybody's making their decision based on the rim hanging, which is only for next gen. So if you're on current gen, you're not going to be swinging on the rim. You're not going to be doing pull-ups. Sorry to disappoint you. But then this is going to be, current next gen now with current gen with a triangle cut. I think the spot up pass mechanic, they didn't specify, so I'm going to assume that's also on both.
They haven't said anything that separates the gens, have they, at this point? Or have they?
No, because we're going to get on to something also which then ties in both gens together. But yeah, the triangle cut, I'm for it. I know it gets a little bit of slack, but as a sort of get out of jail method, as a stop off falling and sitting in the corner method, I like it.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm not going to disagree with that part. Like that is everyone's defense right now, is to sit in the corner.
Exactly.
Especially on next gen. Everyone just sits in the corner now.
And that's why it does not exist in my brain. Moving on to defense, because there's a lot of ways to score. So moving on to the defense now. And this is something I really feel like we needed a visual example of how it was going to work. The new shade defense.
Yeah, I read this, yeah.
So 3 zones, straight up, shade left, shade right. And the zone the defender's in is shown in red. And if you dribble into the red, it's an instant fumble, drop the ball, or just get cut off, start a bump animation. I feel like we really need to see that working to be able to know whether or not it's going to be effective. Because like you can think that a few ways. You can think like, okay, well, I can now see his red zone. I can now see exactly where I need to go to avoid that red zone. And if it's like, an average defender, you're going to have like a massive area to go. And, you've got to avoid that tiny area and you're going to be free. you could burst around them with one of your 3 adrenaline boosts. On the other hand, you got the shade left, shade right. Maybe that also gives you like a 50-50 chance of getting the cut off or the loser dribble. I feel like we need a little bit more in that, but I feel like it could be effective, or it could be just a bit of a gimmick to try and make it sound like defense is going to be sort of important.
Yeah, the visuals are important. That's what's going to make that.
Definitely.
Is what's going to say. Like if you can visually see, where those zones are, and it's very easy to get to that spot, then on-ball defense will be relevant for the first time in a long time in this game. I just think it's so tough, right? We've just spoken about all the exploits that you can use without dribbling at all and to get open and get buckets. Like, lanes are still going to need to be played. It's always going to be the meta, I think, in this game. It doesn't matter what they do with. I mean, people have different versions of what they think on-ball defense is and off-ball defense is. Some people think it's paint sitting. Some people think it's baiting lanes.
Yeah.
Whatever. Everyone has different views on it. But at the end of the day, like, you're going to need to be able to guard all 5. And I just can't see a meta where anyone is focused on, like, that focused on ball.
No, you're always going to have to put, like, that idiot in the corner who started to drop. A corner that's not quite tight enough. You always have to rotate at some point, or you just you throw body to try and like bait a pass. Like I said, playing lanes is massive. I think
it's
that's
just like they
around.
said, like it's about one-on-one, right? That's what that was kind of how they captioned it. It's like
this thing, is about today's one-on-one player interactions.
How do you, like, if you can play one-on-one defense if both your corners aren't sprinting away from, like, where they need to be. Like, it's only as good as the rest of the game. Like if that stuff stops happening, if like I said, corners specifically stop dropping, if your AI stops being brain dead on cuts, and now we've got pops as well by the sounds of it. If like all of that works, if your AI can do what you need it to do, then you can have fun playing on-ball defense, and whatever mechanic they put in, and it sounds like a more intelligent mechanic than they have now. It could be fun, but it's all dependent on what the other 4 players on the court are doing.
Yeah. I agree. Like I said, a little clip of it being like shown in game would be amazing to see like how it works and how effective it is, and like like you said, what the other cards are doing. But I think if that is working properly and your corners aren't dropping, it does promote on-ball, which is what at the end of the day is what you want to do. You go on an online game to play against somebody online. You don't go online to play against CPU, which is what the majority of the experience is right now in this game. So I think it's a positive change. But it's one that you kind of got to be like, all right, we'll wait and see on that one.
I mean, the on-ball like AI defense is garbage as well. Like, at this point in the year, if anyone's hard off balling, they should be winning a game. Like if you know 2 dribble moves, you'll score every single time. So at this point in the year, you could argue already it's it would be more valuable than it again at the start of the year. Just having a mechanic like that. So the trade escape is so hard to stop. It's just so hard.
I love it.
I mean, I do it every possession, but it's bordering on an exploit now. Like the AI cannot defend that. So having a way to defend it, like being able to predict getting to that spot and potentially getting a strip off it will make people think twice.
Yeah, definitely
about doing that. So it could be interesting.
I think so. Right, going back to another point you mentioned earlier is shot blocking. So reading this, let's just say at the start, made it maybe a little bit annoying. Not for like the reasons that they've stated, but they said for 2K23, blocks have been tuned to a more realistic level. So they knew for 12 months, we have now played a game, or 10 months, we have now played a game with an unrealistic level of blocks, and they didn't patch it at all because they wanted to wait for a new game. So a little bit annoying.
They've said every week that they've known it because they started putting the same dunk package on every card.
The end games with like safe dunks only and no
quick drops off one. Like as soon as they started putting that on every card, they'd acknowledged that blocking was a disaster.
Yeah, so that's a little bit frustrating to see that we played so long with a broken game and they knew it, but it is what it is. So for next year, have to wait a year for a patch, but they do say they're bringing it back to a more realistic level. No more small guards pulling off LeBron James.
Is that how they phrased it? Did they say bringing it back?
No, they said blocks have been tuned to a more realistic level, leading to much more predictable outcomes with the right players making appropriate stops, and no more small guards pulling off chase down blocks like LeBron James, which we all saw this year. I think we all had our moment of like, how is our? I don't know if you saw the picture I put up. If Rondo blocking Taco full. And it wasn't like a little strip when Taco was just bringing the ball up. No, it was at full release point. And Rondo's just gone. I don't understand how. And it's just one of the ones you look at and you're like, that's just not right. Like, how has that happened?
I'm not gonna lie, like my hero Steph Curry was one of the best shot blockers I've used all year. That guy would, yeah.
It
You
just
know the
doesn't
D
make
wave like
sense.
animations, like he would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
them. He was the craziest blocks. It's middle ground, right? This is where 2K have always struggled. I think they'll go like when they hear something that we don't like this, they'll do the opposite. Yeah, best example of this, like best mentality is like no one liked AI because he was too short. So they released Yao the next month, right? Like that's like one extreme to another. That's how they do things. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it's good, sometimes it appeases people. But in 2K20, dunks were overpowered. You know, deep hash was the meta on that game. And in 2K21, it was like, okay. 2K22 it was non-existent. Like you if you went to Rim, you're an idiot. Like
pretty much, you would rather shoot a heavy contest.
Yeah,
I mean, like this is a better shot.
Yes,
than that wide open dunk that I can see in the paint. 100%. Yeah, no, it's good to see that they've acknowledged it. It's a shame we've had to deal with it for 10 months now. But if they do bring it back to a level where it should be, that's good. It's when you take a step back and think we're in 2022 now, and they can't get blocks right. You know, they can't get such a simple basketball mechanic to sort of be in a realistic level or a level where a video game functions properly, you know, because video games don't need to be like mirroring real life, but as long as they're fun and it's kind of in the realms of like, oh, you know, that could happen or whatever. So it's a little bit sad that we're still here tweaking it, but it sounds like they're tweaking it in the right direction at least. But I think it's a good change.
Post scoring needs to be back in the game. You can't have a meta where you're better up paint mashing with Muggsy Bogues than you are rim running with Giannis. Like, what are we doing? Well. It's been terrible. There's been the worst part, probably the worst part of the most unrealistic. I'm glad they used the word realistic because it's been the most unrealistic thing about the game this year is just post scoring. Yeah. Whether it's smashing or block it, like dunks, every dunk being blocked, it's just been, it's forced everyone to shoot threes the whole year.
Yeah. And then when you do go to the rim, you're doing the same 5 dunks because that's all they give the in-game cards. You know, you can't do a tomahawk with LeBron James. You can only do MJ free throw line dunks. You can only do safe one-handers or whatever. You know, it takes away the individuality of the players. You know, we all know they kind of play like clones, but they really do when they're not even doing their own signature dunks.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, it needs to be specific players. Like, MJ should be the only card doing free throw dunks.
Yeah.
Things like that. It just says it all when the end game cards have the most basic dunk package because
2K know, but they don't patch or want to change it. They're like, let's just save that for next year.
Can you imagine that if every dunk didn't get blocked, what those end game card dunk packages were? What fun we'd be having in the game? Yeah. Think about some of the highlights you'd see on Twitter right now.
It'd be great. It'd be great, but you know, as it is, they're all just doing exactly the same thing. And to be fair, at the start, I enjoyed it. You know, I was like, oh, I could do a free throw line dunk with Magic Johnson. That's awesome. Yeah. And then I did it with Scotty Barnes, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I did it with the next con. I was like, it's getting a bit old now.
Why can I do this with Gold Grant Williams?
I did it with MJ, and I was like, it's not even your dunk anymore, is it? Like,
he's loaded it up.
So it's a good change. It's a good change. And then there's another kind of important one I think about blocks is 3-point fouls this year. Another thing that personally I felt were out of control and completely needed patching. They've again admitted, hey, we knew that was broken, but we didn't patch it. But we're going to change it for next year. So they're going to, the shot system now, or blocking system now contains flyby blocks. We're closing out late on the perimeter, get a hand up on the line to prevent the defender from slamming into the shooter and sending them to the line. So again, another very positive change. Another slightly frustrating change that we have to deal with a problem they know about for 10 months. But again, adding in a new flyby block system, I think it's only good.
Yeah, 3-point fouls for the last 2 years have been a problem.
Yeah.
It happened in 250K, right, last year with Ty and Splash in the final.
It might have done. I don't know. They were like 3 a.m. I was asleep.
I remember Ty saying you jumped, it's your fault. Like, I remember that's the thing I remember.
Oh, okay.
But it swung the whole momentum of that game. Like, it's every game. It's every game. Yeah, you play 5-minute clutch time game, you're going to give away 3-point. Someone will give away a 3-point foul in that game in 5 minutes. We can't get through 5 minutes of gameplay without it.
Yeah, so that definitely needed patching, definitely needed tweaking.
Agreed.
I'm glad they've done it.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit late, but at least they've done something about it. And then another thing,
the additional thing though as well, because shooting so like Luka's so broken, right?
Yeah,
He hits everything, contested or not. So with Luca, you're getting almost a guaranteed 4 points on every one of those 3-point fouls. He's going to hit the shot anyway.
That's true.
Anyway, doesn't
Regardless
matter.
of the contest, it's going down.
Yeah, if he's wearing taco as a hat, it's still going in. So yeah, it's yeah. I'm glad it's gone.
I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad it's gone. So yeah, we've got blocks being turned back, which I think is big. 3-point fouls apparently being tuned back, which is big. And another thing is shooting, just in general. If you were open this year, you can have a blindfold on, be sipping a cup of tea, and still hit the shot, regardless of if you even shot the ball. It would still go in because if you're open, that's the only thing that mattered. So now they've said success from the outside was heavily weighted towards coverage. If you get an open look, you could balance out poor ratings and inaccurate timing. So they're basically admitting like you didn't have to time anything or have a good rating. It was just going to go down. But this year they've gone to a more authentic shooting model, which hopefully means you have to maybe have a little bit of skill. So again, thoughts on that one?
I'm going to start at the end. So they said something about jumpers being more realistic, right, to the players.
Mm-hmm. Authentic shooting model.
There's only one jumper that was mocap this year, right?
Was it Lucas at the start of the year? I remember seeing his thingy, and that was the one that's been broken all year.
The only jumper that was actually realistic was uncontestable and broke the game. So that worries me a little bit. I think the contest system is a disaster in this game. Like, it's an absolute disaster. Like, it's the inconsistency of it that bothers me. It's not even the fact, like, if it was one way or the other, it's fine. But you can literally have exactly the same animations at one end and the other. One end, it's 80% contested. The next...
You're rolling the dice. You're rolling the orangey dice that are everywhere. But it is that thing, isn't it? You have the same animation, completely different outcome.
Yeah.
And you just think, how is that happening? And again, with the shooting, it was kind of the same. I think they have mentioned the block that's going to be changed as well. Sort of like the contest system, that is changing as well. So that's another positive. But yeah, shooting, far too easy this year. Earlies, lates, very earlies, very lates. Didn't play the shot, still went in like... too much.
It's been ridiculous. Yeah. Like I don't think I'm the only one who feels like this. There's been points this year where I felt like a god playing this game, like just because of you can go
shooting all your earlies and lates.
15 for 15 for 3 in a game. I'm like, yeah, I am a beast, but I'm not really. It's just easy. It's just really easy. There's certain things I think like that should never kind of be sort of taken out of the game, right? And one of those things is like on ball defense. Mm-hmm. If you've got a hand in your face, you should miss the shot.
Yeah,
simple. 9 out of 10 times you're going to hit that shot. That's just how bad it's gone. Like 2 out of 10 would be too much with a hand in your face. So yeah, I think that is the contest system in particular needs to be sorted out. But shooting needs. But then we spoke about this, right? Like how far are they going to go? If people are saying shooting's easier and we can't rim run, are we going to go to a point where shooting's impossible?
And the only way to score is at the rim. Yeah.
The balance is everything with this stuff.
And they usually don't get it right, as we're seeing with the shooting nerfs and the blocking nerfs and all these other things. But we can hope at one point they're going to find a nice little happy medium that everybody in the community agrees on and everyone loves, which is never going to happen.
I'm optimistic. Like, I'm optimistic. Maybe more for me. I don't know at this point in the year. But I am optimistic because I think this year I'm not going to say they've done an amazing job of listening and adapting throughout the year, but they have done a job, right? So even though we can say they didn't fix the dunk issue, the block issue, they did adjust the dunks, right, to make it less of an issue. So I think they have tried throughout the year to kind of address some of the issues. And because they've tried to address them throughout the year, now they've had a full run at building a new game. Because I couldn't say that in previous years.
That's true. That's true.
I couldn't even say that they acknowledged the issues in the game. But I feel like they've acknowledged it this year and they've tried to patch it in a way until we get to the next game. So maybe we'll be surprised and these mechanics will work.
God damn, I hope so. I love the enthusiasm. I wish I could hold it. I wish I could hold it. So that's all the sort of like that's sort of the major change I would say. Quick little note on my career. Did you have a my career player this year on current gen or next gen?
No. This is the first year I'm going to play it. I'm going to come out the gate playing it this year.
Okay. Well,
was there not stuff on the badges as well? Is this
yes, yeah, we're going to get into that. So the generator or the my player creator can now get pie charts gone. So there's going to be the same build system for next gen and current gen, which is great. I made 3 or 4 builds on new gen. and I made none on current gen because the fire system, nope. So thankfully they got rid of that, and they brought again the 2 gens back in line, which was a good change. And yeah, badges 80 down to 64. So 16 badges removed. Total amount of badges in the game now 64 instead of 80.
Why were people saying it's like gone up? Like they've added more than they took away. So that's not true, is it?
I don't believe so, no.
Because people saying there's like 90 to 100 badges now.
The reason is because they didn't actually like list off everything in the blog. So they like didn't say quick chain and tight handles got removed, but they said, hey, here's Killer Combos badge, which is a combination of 2 badges. So I don't know actually where I got the number 64 from, but I'm sure I saw it from a reliable source. You're making me doubt myself now.
I don't know. That's like it's Twitter, bro. 99% of it is just nonsense.
This is very true.
Wouldn't use it as a reference. I'm just glad Glue Hands has gone.
I'm
sick of all my players being Bozo the Clown under the rim, juggling until they give the ball up. I'm not. Yeah, that badge was a disaster. Outside of that, I'm not really that fussed. It's all going to do roughly the same, and things are going to replace other things that do exactly the same thing. About 3 or 4 badges are going to be relevant all year, like they are every year. You know, we can look at everywhere. How many badges were relevant this year? 6, 10, maybe.
A push for like all defense and playmaking, maybe 10.
Yeah,
you could probably narrow it down to like 5 or 6 instead of like the absolute must-haves.
Yeah.
It will
80% of those badges no one's even going to pay attention to. So
yes,
let's see which ones become overpowered, because it always changes every year slightly. So let's see which ones will be vital.
I think there's a few that we can look at and say that's going to be important. So you got one called Claymore, which we haven't had before, to be fair. So increases the spot up shooter's ability to knock down, catch and shoot. We've already had catch and shoot, but the longer they remain stationary prior to shooting. So if you're 5 out and you do that at the start of the possession, dribble for 20 seconds, and then your corner drops, I don't know if the boost works like per second, but imagine it does. You get like a 20-second stationary boost on this guy's shooting. Like, that'd be ridiculous. So
what's the badge that's similar to that now?
Set shooter.
It's set shooter, yeah.
Set shooters after you catch the ball, you then got to stand still for 2 seconds and just hope that no defender comes near you, and then shoot it, and then it'll trigger. So they've removed that one, funny enough, because it was
just made it endless,
completely pointless. So yeah, that's a bit of a different one.
Interesting, all right.
One. And then hand down, man down makes an outside shooter even deadlier if the opponent fails to get a hand in the face. Now, I don't know if that's going to be like Deadeye, where there's a defender sort of like in the vicinity, so it'll be like a light contest just because their presence is there.
Yeah.
Or if it's just on an open shot, you know, if there's no defender putting a hand in the face, so the coverage is open. So if that boosts open shooting, that's going to be very powerful. So if you can just keep hitting down all your open shots, or if it's a contested badge as well, that's going to be important. So I think that could be a big badge.
Yeah. So, like I said, in terms of shooting, having a hand in someone's face needs to count for something. Skill gap needs to be getting open. That's really what it needs to be. Timing your shot needs to be important, but more importantly, skill gap needs to be getting open. So anything that rewards that and punishes bad shots, I'm all for. I
think so. Anchor is the new Intimidator, and Challenger is the new Intimidator as well. So they're going to be super important. So they can kind of already see the badges, which everybody's going to need sort of very quickly. But yeah, the main ones have been removed.
Yeah.
Glue Hands, I'm happy about. And then Bullet Passer as well. Bullet Passer is now also gone, and it's going to tie in with, I think it's passing accuracy. I think that was one Mike Wang had to go on Twitter to clarify. I think passing accuracy now determines passing speed. So that's going to be an important one, because if you played with a card of that Bullet Passer this year, oh my God, they looped that thing over up into the rafters to get to the other side of the court. It was so slow. It was so painful. So it's good that it's been removed, because I don't think it should be a badge, but it's going to be interesting to see how.
Yeah, it's a badge. It's one of the badges I'm not going to miss.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anybody's going to not buy 2K23 because they can't get their Bullet Passer off anymore.
What was the new badge that was like the counter to clamps? Which badge was that?
It's called like anti-clamps. Clamp breaker. That's what it's called. So it helps ball handlers win more one-on-one body bump confrontations, the counter to clamps. So again,
so it's going to make backdoor cuts even more. So even clamps isn't going to stop it, basically.
That could be the thing, couldn't it? Again, it'd be great to see like a little visual representation of like what that does, and like lighting up in the corner would be great. But maybe it would just be a backdoor cut, and then they wouldn't stop it, so they can't show it.
It's basically going to be a whole year of me holding my nuts to stop a backdoor cut in it. It's like the best way to do it, and just get a charging foul. Like that, I feel like that's the way it's going to go.
It's possible. It's very possible, and there's no way to escape it now. You can't go to a different gen to avoid it. They're all going to be there waiting for you. But yeah, so that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of it. There's a few other badges that have been changed, but like you said, they mostly do the same thing. So I think the big takeaways: blocks getting nerfed, shooting's getting nerfed, 3-point fouls getting nerfed,
Dunks
rim hanging effective. Definitely massive. Am I
right?
That's
clearly the biggest thing. I think you should title the video with that. You can now hang on the rim.
I think it needs its own podcast. If I'm honest, it needs its own episode.
The first time I do it, I'm gonna crack up. I know the first time that I do it, I'm just gonna milk it and end up losing the game just so I can keep doing it. It's so stupid.
I just love the fact you thought I was joking. I'm not joking.
I know it was a joke. I didn't even hear that.
It is a real thing, but as I said, nobody's talked about it because it's so insignificant. But it is kind of like a leading point of what they're doing this year. So
that's the problem.
That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I think the triangle cut is a big thing for the different gens. Pie charts being gone for current gen, I think that's a big thing. But yeah, the 3 overall changes, I think they're only going to be good for everybody. Shooting being more skilled. If I hit an early, I'm annoyed at myself and the game for letting it go in. I'm annoyed at myself for doing it early, but I'm annoyed that I'm getting rewarded for it. I don't want to be hitting those type of shots because I know when my opponent hits them, I don't want them to hit them anyway. So that's good. Blocks, we all know it'd be great to go to the rim and do a fancy dunk, but nobody does that now because you can't with the end game cards. No. 3-point fouls, that was just frustrating. Out of your control. You'd have a contest.
A lot of the major issues have at least been attempted to be addressed here.
I think so. Said. I think so. And then triangle cut coming back. Good times. So,
is there anything you wanted to see on this that isn't there? Is there anything you wanted to see them address
from a gameplay point of view? From a gameplay point of view, obviously there's quite a few My Team things I'd want to see. When they do the My Team blog, we'll have to do another episode and deep dive on that.
Yeah, the content one's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. But from a purely from a gameplay point of view, I haven't played the game properly in a long time. April 30th, last time I played Unlimited. I can still remember, like a drug addict who stopped. And I can still remember the day that I got sober. April the 30th was the last game of the Showdown tier. That was when I completed Showdown. I was on top of the world. And I was like, I'm never going there again. So I don't know. I'll pass on to you and I'll have a think. Is there anything you would want to see in a gameplay to be addressed?
This is kind of the thing I was going to say. I don't think so. I think, like I said, there is an awareness from 2K now. I think that they if you look at the blog this time last year, it's like they just decided what they wanted to fix or put in there. I feel like they have gone, right, these are the issues that people have been screaming about. Okay, they didn't fix them all year. That is an issue, but I don't know. It's so tricky as well. Trying to balance this on current gen. The next gen's a third year. We're going to have a split. It can't be easy trying to build 2 games because much as they want them to be the same, they're ultimately not going to be. They're still
going to be completely different. I imagine it's still going to be like this year, where like one doesn't really even transfer to the other one. So I imagine it's going to play again. Maybe it'll be a little bit more similar, but you said earlier this year it's 2 completely different games. It really is.
It's really, like, for me, it's really important. One of the things I care about the most is getting people onto next gen. Like, people that have the opportunity to play next gen. Obviously, some people can't get consoles. It is what it is. But I want people that can play on next gen to play on next gen because the player base is just tiny. Like, in Unlimited, it's hell because you're literally playing the same 5 people. In the EU, I genuinely think I've probably played like 20% of my games have been against like randoms.
Yeah.
But like 80% of the games I played during Showdown, doing that twice or the Unlimited runs, I think one I haven't done this year. I'm just playing the same people. 6 to 10 people. It's just sad. Sad. And they're all ultra sweats.
Of course,
because that's all they do. It's sad. We need, like, next gen needs to get, for us to be 3 years into this and people are still choosing to play an outdated console because they prefer it, it's just that has to change next year.
Well, I think this blog has made me want to go because I've got a PS5. Obviously, I've played current gen. To be fair, I play like FIFA current gen as well. So even they haven't got like a good balance of bringing people over to the new one. I still prefer the old sort of game and the way it plays. Main thing for me was like the myteam menus and how slow and laggy that side of stuff was. So that was a big concern rather than the gameplay side.
No
of things.
explanation for that, right? Like, why is it that way?
I don't know.
It should be the other way round,
it
right?
really should be the other way around, shouldn't it? But it's just a little bit backwards. But that was one reason. But in terms of the actual gameplay itself, I just like sort of like the fast-paced nature of current gen as opposed to the slower side of things. And at the start of the year when no one's got badges or stats, it just felt so slow, so clunky. But if they both feel the same and clunky, then I'm just going to go for the newer, fresher thing that looks cool, where I can swing on the rim and disrespect my opponent.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna like I said, I'm playing unlimited on current gen now because right now the next gen like meta is brutal.
Yeah,
like brutal because the AI is so overpowered on defense and running into like the top 5 endgame cards every game because that's the only thing anyone wants to use in unlimited now.
Yep.
And them sitting in the corner, I can't do it. I cannot do it on next gen right now. So hopefully next year that's their focus and the changes we've spoken about gets that outcome.
I hope so. I think it's all positive. It's all looking like it's heading in the right direction. For the first, it's a long blog as well. I had a look at last year's. It wasn't anywhere near as long. It is a long blog. There's still loads of stuff here that we didn't even cover, and they've got a whole section about the AI defense.
How early did this come out compared to last year?
I think it is around the same time. To be fair, roughly around the same time. Yeah, right. August, because it's next month. We're not that far away.
We are very close.
September the 9th. It's like pretty much a month bang on now. It's scary how quickly it comes around. But I hope sort of like maybe every week or every other week we get a courtside report. Obviously, they've got to have stuff for like the Jordan challenges, Park, career, W, and then we'll get the myteam one. But if it's anything like this, I hope it's anything like this, hopefully everything will be good. So yeah, first impression 2K23, very positive.
Yeah,
from my side,
optimistic. I'm ready to get hurt again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's go.
I'm back with the ex who broke my heart, and I'm ready to get back again.
You know what the real like? All of this could be irrelevant at the end of the day, right? Because it's really going to come down to how we react to this stuff.
Yeah.
Like the first month or two, like I said, 2K needs to survive the community going that something's changed. Can you put it back? Because it happens every year.
Time.
Every year they end up reversing a bunch of stuff that we never really gave the time. And you don't know, like a lot of these things you can't even judge until we get overpowered cards and see how they react to these things and how they handle it and like in different metas throughout the year. But we literally come out with like sapphires. People are like, I can't shoot. Can you fix this?
I can't burst. Can you help me?
Like, shut up.
Can't shoot from Limitless. Give me a 3.
Yeah. Give it a month. Give it 6 weeks. Just let it embed. Let them patch what they're trying to do if it doesn't work. And then if it's just completely broken, then yeah, we could all throw a tantrum and get it fixed. But give it time. I think that's the most important thing. We just make this mistake every year. If we didn't do this 2 years ago, DBG would be the best player in the world still. He would have won 250 grand. Instead, he's got people in his videos telling him he's rubbish at the game. Like, just chill, give it time, let it settle. Because the whole trajectory could be decided on how we behave in the first,
massively.
like, 6 weeks.
Yeah, they do listen to the stuff that they see on the analytics, rather than words. I think they look at numbers and are like, oh, okay, people aren't getting past this amount of games or this amount of games, so we need to tune that. So I agree. We need to all breathe when it comes out. There looks like there's going to be a lot of big changes to like most fundamental things. Blocks again, like shooting is one of the most fundamental things that's being changed now. The fact that blocks have been changed means that dunks are now back as being effective. So again, that's another big change. So everything's changed, I think, in the right way. We'll have to wait and see what it's going to look like in the actual product. But for the first look at 2K23, yeah, I think they've done as good as they could.
Yeah, I agree. Look, the first 2 months, I barely touch the game every year. It's always that time of year where I'm really chill. I won't do unlimited. I won't do level 40. I'm going to give them time to work it all out, and then I'm going to jump on and then judge it. But yeah, we're probably 4 months away from actually being able to decide whether this
the final version of the game. Yeah,
see how it went. Yeah, for sure.
I think we'll come back when the next blog comes out if they do like one that's relevant to myteam or gameplay or whatever. But I think the first one, pretty good. So thank you very much for coming on the channel, bro. I do appreciate it.
me, man.
Again, everybody go over to Jazz's channel, all that jazz. More videos, WLN coming.
Yeah, I'm not making content because there's nothing to
I mean, that is true. You can only look back at the moment or look forward. There's no like looking at the present because there isn't a present.
Yeah, it's been 4 days. I'm slacking, but yeah.
Why don't you do a WLN on the limited rewards?
Do you want to talk about that?
We could talk about that. I mean, it's quickly the end here.
we can. Do you want to talk about it?
If people did, if it was people's first weekends of limited, it's the first time they've ever gone for a grand prize, and they were told they're going to get an invincible for playing for 6 weeks, and they got their ring. You know, let's say on average 5 games. You know, because maybe they don't win every game, so on average 5 games. So you're looking at like 30 games. And their team is already a Warriors team with Clay and KD and whatever. And then they're like, oh, hey, you can now get another version of the same card that's already in game that you could have bought like 5 weeks ago. I think there should be, I mean, how can you not find 5 new players from the entirety of the NBA's history? Put Spud Webb in there. You know, people honestly,
do you not think that would have been worse?
People would have taken him and they would have been happy with it. They would have been like, oh, that's a joke. They would have been like, you know what, fair enough, 2K. But just cards that are already on the block, it's very lazy. It doesn't surprise me. I didn't go for limited this season at all. But yeah, it's to be expected. From my, I don't know, it's kind of like, yeah, that sounds about right. It didn't surprise me at all.
Bro, I couldn't care less. I just,
yeah,
it's August, bro. Like, it's August. Like, do you know what's funny about this scenario, right? Because this got quite heated on Twitter yesterday. Like,
did it? I was out all day, thankfully, when I missed the whole storm.
I definitely got like more than one passive aggressive tweet when I gave my opinion on it. But who cares? I mean, limited is a mode. The point of limited is we're supposed to have fun building lineups and like playing the game. Like that is a mode that's designed for fun, nothing else. Unlimited is designed for, you know, comp. Level 40 is designed for grinding. Like, it is literally a mode that just sits in the middle of every season. If you want to play it, you can. If you don't want to play it, you don't. It's really there for people who are, you know, mainly there for people who aren't maybe as good at the game, and it's an outlet for them. It takes like an hour a week. And like, the problem I have with it is like this idea of suffering, because what we've had this whole, like the last few days is people that don't do limited saying that people who play limited should be feeling sick right now. Well, I play limited because I enjoy the hell out of it. And I like totally cool. There isn't a card they could have put in there that would have made my squad. It's August.
They're not going to put an end game in there, are they? So
no.
It's just...
play the game just to play the game sometimes. Like, just play the game. Like, limited is that mode. I've never had any expectations of a limited reward. The idea that someone could have expectations at this point is just bonkers. 2K have never made it a rewarding mode because it's not that difficult to get the card. Like, just who cares?
I'm trying to think this year, has there been a limited reward this year that was half decent? Was there a Devon Booker? Was that this year or last year?
Someone did respond saying that there was 1 or 2 good ones.
I don't think they were ever around for too long. I mean,
Tony last year was a good
Tony Kukoc.
Yeah, that was it.
But then like this year, well, yeah, you know, when I played limited, I only ever went to 5 rings anyway. I only ever got the Hoff badges or badge.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get the player because I knew like the week after, or maybe even before you even get the card, there's other options out there.
Which was valuable to you, right? At the start of the year. Because you were budgeting up cards, making like millions of MT. Yeah. Like I don't think everything needs to be about a damn reward. This mentality just annoys me, man. Like, there needs to be a point where we play just to play. Like, there has to be something in the game that we do which isn't for a carrot or a cookie. Like, can we just not play? Like, why you're feeling bad for me because I had fun playing a game mode? Like, shut up. Shut up. Like, I don't care. I knew the reward would be bad. I played it anyway. I wasn't sitting there every weekend going, oh my God, I'm going to get endgame taco because I beat this scrub with Denny Abdia. Get out.
Well, it was a season of Denny Abdia, wasn't it? Because it was like the same requirements every weekend. But
that annoyed me. Yeah, that's the bit that did annoy me because that took the fun out of the game.
They weren't creative at all with the squads, but I don't know. I think the only thing is, like, if it is somebody's like first, I saw it in one of the Discord, like the community Discord. It was like, oh, this is my first season going for limited, and I'm never doing that again because of what happens. So I'm like, you know, for everybody like you who does play it for fun, which is great, and I'm so happy you could. And I wish I genuinely do wish that I could play for fun like that. But there's people out there who will then get disillusioned because of these bad decisions that 2K are making. For you, you play it regardless.
Yeah.
But for the people
I
who
get
do
it. I
want
do get it.
something, you know, that just makes more people happy rather than half the people happy. But
I think it's tougher for people who aren't as good at the game. I don't want to sound like
absolutely.
that guy.
No,
But
absolutely.
if someone had spent 20 games every weekend,
we can go in and we win 10 out of 10. You know, we'll get our ring in half an hour or like 5 minutes. If it's a weekend where you can have like a dark matter in there, we're gonna go with our end game card, and people might just rage quit instantly and you get the ring. But
they can be giving the ring out like candy now. It rarely takes more than 5 games.
Yeah,
I've had like 1 or 2 weekends a whole year where it's maybe taken more than 10.
But that's with winning them all. So if you chuck in like little Timmy who can't win, bless him,
little Timmy,
he's playing quite a few more, thinking, you know, I'm going to get the best invincible in the game at the end of this journey, you know. So I don't know. Maybe I think they should do a little bit more. But at this point, with the way this season has gone, I don't think anybody could have expected anything different than a couple of copy and pasted cards.
I would much rather get the news that we got on this blog than them spending any effort putting in a limited reward that's inevitably not going to run anyway.
That's true. That's true. If it's an end game, different story, but for an invincible, like I said, it just doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up, everybody. So a little bit of a segue at the end there, but I think a happy segue into some other current news. But yeah, hopefully we'll be back when more news drops 2K23 and that My Team content blog. I need it now. Please inject it into my veins.
Yeah, let's get it.
I hope it's on the same level as what we got yesterday. And if it is, it could be a good year. But September will tell all. But thanks again for coming on, bro. I hope you enjoyed your stay.
Did, yeah. Thanks for having me, man. It's fun. Can't wait for the next one.
Nice one. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take it easy and peace.